Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on PC with Ryujinx, and Ryujinx has just released their progress report. Now, we've talked about some of this stuff in previous videos, and I'm just going over it at a high level. If you wanted to see it in detail, I'll drop a link to it in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. It's well written. So first things first, if you're on Linux and you've got an AMD GPU, with the message driver there's a global improvement of up to 5% in your frame rate. Next, there was some work done to improve Citizens Unite EarthX Space. This is the before and, well, this is the after. There were also some improvements to Ryujinx on ARM devices, and boot times for some games is considerably faster. For their Apollonia front end, right-to-left language support was added, and they've also added in a brand new mod manager allowing you to easily add or remove mods. And on top of that, the HLE controller applet was reworked a little bit visually to make things a lot easier to understand. And on top of all of that, Ryujinx has just rolled out a whole bunch of improvements. For example, in version 1.1.1198, it improves Vulkan performance significantly on AMD message drivers, and to a lesser degree on AMD Windows drivers. In 1199, it fixes graphical issues on the turnip message driver in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, and more. And it fixes Bayonetta Origins on Vulkan on desktop GPUs. And in version 1201, it allows Tomb Raider 1-3 Remastered to go in-game without enabling Ignore Missing Services. Apparently the game is still dark, and that just might be a Switch thing. Next up, we're talking about a cycle-accurate Game Boy Advance emulator on Windows, Mac, and Linux, and that is NanoBoyAdvance. I've got some good news and also some bad news. So we'll talk about the good news first, and NanoBoyAdvance version 1.8.0 has just dropped, and this is the first release in 2024 and the first one since May of 2023. And this release is actually pretty big. So we've got bug fixes, improvements, and brand new features. For example, they implemented a brand new sharp video filter. They implemented PPU viewers for palettes, tiles, backgrounds, and sprites. They added an option to set the audio volume, and they fixed input dropping from the last version. And now for the bad news. The next major release for NanoBoyAdvance is going to be the last one. The developer says she's going to retire from the project after the next major release. She then goes on to say, "It's been feeling more and more like a second job and less like something that I enjoy working on. On top of that, I have started to feel quite drained in general in the last year, also for personal reasons, to the point where even after trying to take a break, I feel dread whenever I try to work on the emulator." Now, there's a few things I want to say about this. Number one, this is why I'm a big fan of multiple emulators for the exact same system. The more emulators we have, the more chance that emulation will continue on for that system. And number two here, this is also why I'm a big fan of open source stuff. If the developer decides to stop working on it, the project can technically continue if someone else decides to pick it up. And the last thing I want to say is directly to the developer, if they are watching. Thank you for everything you've done with NanoBoyAdvance. Thank you for all of the work you put in. Thank you for everything you've done for the emulation community. And I hope things get better for you, wherever your life takes you. But moving on, and next up, we're quickly talking about Vimms Lair, and there may or may not be some problems for this website moving forward, just as a heads up. I'll drop a link to this Reddit post in the description below, and feel free to check it out. In the image here, under PlayStation 2 Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, it says download unavailable by request of Rockstar Games. Based on the comments in the thread, people don't know when this happened, and people don't know if it's going to happen to more games moving forward. In my opinion about this news, it's very coincidental to what recently happened with CD Romance, although I don't think Rockstar was directly involved in that stuff. And it goes without saying, I don't support or condone piracy. This is just news. Next up, we're talking about a mod that was taken down off of NexusMods, and it's in regards to Tomb Raider 1-3 Remastered. And apparently the mod removed the warning message from the beginning of the game. Now, it appears that some people are very upset about this and upset about NexusMods and their censorship. Some people appeared to not care at all, and some people are saying that the mod wasn't even needed. All they did was go into the launch options on Steam and type in no legal to completely skip intros. And speaking about game options, next up we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation with PCSX2, and PCSX2 got a couple of updates worth mentioning. So the first update here removes the option to disable per game settings, the rationale being nobody actually used this, and users were just disabling this and then wondering why their settings didn't work. So moving forward with PCSX2, you can configure per game settings, but you can't disable the ability to configure per game settings. And the second update applies a few fixes to Ape Escape 2. It says it fixes rare issues of monkeys defying gravity and walking into the air, along with a few other things. And speaking about games, next up we're talking about Helldivers 2, and this game appears to be very successful on PC for Sony. Specifically on Steam, PlayStation has released about 14 games in total, and VGC points out Helldivers 2 concurrent Steam player count is now higher than all other PlayStation PC launches combined. In fact, at the time of filming, there are 374,000 people online playing this game right now on Steam. To say this game is successful for Sony may be an understatement. In fact, it's been so successful that they're having trouble getting everybody into the game who wants to play. Here's what the Helldivers 2 team has to say. Despite our best efforts to increase server capacity to accommodate all of you who want to dive for freedom, we are experiencing capacity issues. We are once more working without delay to improve the issue, and we hope to have a fix in place as soon as possible. So if you have this game and you've been having connection issues, let me know in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts about this game in the comments below. And speaking about playing games, next up we're talking about a game you may not have played. It's called Fist of the North Star 3 for the NES. And this one has just received an English translation patch. I'll drop a link to the romhacking.net page in the description below. I've played Fist of the North Star 1 for the NES. It was a side-scrolling beat-em-up with some very uplifting music. Fist of the North Star 3 I have not played yet, and it's an RPG. I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of translations. I couldn't tell you how many games I've struggled to get through where I had no idea what was going on. I find translations even help simple games, something even like Dragon Ball Z Hyperdimension. And speaking about games I want to check out, last up here we're talking about the new Wolverine game from Insomniac, the one that's currently in development and has not released just yet. And this is a part of the leaks that continuing on. Apparently there's a brand new trailer that was discovered, and the game actually looks really interesting. This trailer has been posted all over the internet in various qualities on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, YouTube, and even more. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and one fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.